keeping this theme with data, right? I know Trubit came up earlier and was talking about a really integrated Power BI solution. Traci Brower with Clark Construction is going to talk about how you kind of get there, how they're going in that direction too. So please help me welcome to the stage Traci with Clark Construction.
Okay, thank you everybody. So as he mentioned, I am Traci Brower and I'm a senior estimator at Clark Construction Company. I graduated from construction management at MSU, and then back in 2008, prior to joining Clark in 2008, I actually owned an excavation company and architectural design company. I'm also, in the last few years, I've become very interested in mass timber construction and sustainability and net zero buildings. So I actually had the opportunity last spring to go to Finland to do a trade study with Finland about mass timber framing. So that was really interesting. And then also I'm a founding chair for our local ACE mentor program. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's mentoring high school students about careers in architecture, construction, and engineering. So it's a national organization. I know they have about 3 different chapters here in the Dallas area. So if any of you are interested, I'm sure look up your local chapter and they would greatly appreciate your help. So just a little bit about Clark Construction Company. We're not to be confused with the Clark out of Maryland. We're actually a Michigan-based company, and we've been in business. It's a family-owned company. We've been in business 78 years. We do about $500 million a year, and about 90% of that is CM. We do also do some hard bids. But we have a pre-construction team of about 17 that are operating in 4 different offices throughout the state and in many different markets. And all of our estimators work in all different markets, all of the markets. So it was that much more important that we had data just to share that was accurate and easily accessible to everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, just touch high level on a multi-location estimate summary dashboard, and this truly is the dashboard inside of Destiny. So this is a little bit of the work that would lead up to what was presented earlier with all the Power BI dashboards. So I'm going to review our multi-location summary tab, a parametric data tab that we have inside the dashboard, and then how we use it for benchmarking and how we escalate. And then I'll take a little deeper dive into our conceptual estimating parametric values that we use to create our conceptual estimates, and also how we've built our conceptual estimating template, and then some parametric data comparisons. So I am curious, I'm just curious real quick. Do any of you, or have any of you resorted to any of these estimating tools, especially over the last, the volatility that we've been seeing in the market? I've got just a few more here. Crystal ball, I think we all use these. Dartboard, was actual darts until our safety manager strongly suggested we go to the Velcro instead of the dart. No, but seriously, I do want to talk about some of the tools that we've built in order to be able to harness the power of Destiny and be able to use the tool to work more for us instead of us working for it. So we did create this multi-location dashboard, and I just wanted to highlight that this has multiple tabs. Those are the arrows just pointing to. We have about 20 tabs on this, and each one gives us specific information. It's grabbing the information that is inside of Destiny and is powerful information, but giving us a way to harness that information so that we can use it in the future. One of the tabs is the parametric tab that I'll go into a little bit more. So the multi-location summary tab, mainly this is created to be able to capture the direct trade cost from DESTINI Estimator. And I just mainly wanted to highlight that so you have maybe one building that's broken out by location one, and then we're also able to, the two columns over to the left are smaller breakouts. So we're able to get a little more granular with the data, and then it totals over to the left for a total project cost. And these templates were actually sent out in an email in June 30th from Beck. So if you save your emails and go back to that, they're very helpful for helping to set this up. But we use location one and location two. So location one is the building, and then you see the Doug Maiden wing is actually location two. So that allowed us to break that wing out from the Maurice Black wing, and then ultimately get to the total for the total project, which is the new elementary school of the 14.7 total. So it just allows for a lot of flexibility if you're working in healthcare. You know, you could divide these out by departments. You can divide your information out in many different ways and get more granular with the information. But ultimately what we do with this is that gives us a cost per square foot, and it also gives us a date. So then we're able to take it and take several different projects of similar types, pull them into a benchmarking, and be able to escalate them for both time and location, and then have the comparison. This is just another way to show the benchmarking. So to get a little bit more granular, sure, we have the dining halls, cost per square foot. We could break that down into cost per venue. Maybe hotels, you want to show it as cost per key. So now I'm just going to take a little bit deeper dive into the parametric data tab that we created that is inside of that dashboard, and then also how that helps us to quickly populate a detailed conceptual estimate. So the first thing that we had to do here in order to be able to do that is we created a parametric data code inside of DESTINI, a WBS code that is the parametric code. And then to different line items where we want to collect the data, we assigned a value to those line items. And then this will automatically populate in the estimate. This is just a blow up of that parametric data tab just to show some examples or a portion of that. So you can see like there's building properties, there's substructure properties. For the information that basically is known inside the estimate, but like say tons of steel. Or you want to know, say, density of partitions for the gross square footage, or maybe it gives you some doors per lineal foot of some density of doors or ratio of doors per lineal feet of partitions. It's all information that we can then gather to create a conceptual estimate quickly. So then we created this conceptual estimate template, and we created that in Excel, but this is showing it because we bring it into the project tab inside DESTINI. That's where we use it. And it helps to generate the conceptual estimate. So this just shows a little bit of the steps over on the far right-hand side. Or the left-hand side, I'm sorry. You see the parametric tab. So that's the first step. It takes that information and it pulls it into the conceptual estimate template, which is on the project tab in DESTINI. And then that information, once it gets populated in the conceptual estimate template, automatically populates line items so detailed line items inside the DESTINI estimate. So you can see here, there's a percentage of the exterior skin. 75% is solid cladding, and we just, for this purpose, broke it up equally between 25% each between siding, metal panel, and brick. and then it's populating the estimate, and then it's populating line items. And then there's also 20% in there for storefront and 5% for curtain wall. And this is another way that we're able to use this information. We, as estimators, can go in and maybe we've made some assumptions, that on that particular example that I just talked about, the 75%, maybe that's from a narrative, or maybe it's just from renderings and you're making a guess. But this is a way that we're able to take that information and then apply it to several buildings. And does our pounds of steel per square foot make sense? We can look at other parametric values, or KPIs, maybe is what it was called earlier, very similar, just different terminology. So that's one way that we use it. Or do you have an outlier and it did something go wrong? We can analyze that information. So I was very, it was good to hear the Power BI speech or talk a couple times ago. Thank you for that. That's actually where we are right now. So we've made it this far, and we're currently trying to figure out or analyze what do we want to use from here. So we've started looking into the Power BI, the Beck template, thinking that maybe we want to create our own, but then also corporately we use Airtable. So we've also been investigating that, and does it make sense for us to use Airtable? Maybe our marketing department could access the information, although we know we also need to be careful with what they use there. So, so that's the point that we're at. And if anybody has tips and tricks for us moving forward, we'll be here as well and happy to hear any of that. We're starting that process now. Are there any questions? It's probably taken probably about a year and a half. One thing I didn't say, so we have found, we've used it about 6 or 8 times now on maybe $100 million projects, and it cuts the time down to maybe 3 or 4 hours. We can populate at least 80% of an estimate. And whereas maybe before, for that same level of detail, we would have to do, it probably would take 3 or 4 days.
I noticed on one of your slides that just as a company, you guys decided to use percentage of solid surface on the outside of a building. What was your thought process and how you decided to go to that one item versus like percentage of brick, percentage of steel, percentage of stucco?
So it started out on the parametric tab as a total percentage of solid, but then when it actually gets put into the conceptual estimate template, that's when we divide it out a little bit further, and that's where you might analyze the rendering or go to your narrative, and if there's something like that, it's just making an assumption. And so we assumed on that one, 25% brick, 25% metal panel, 25% siding. Okay? Thank you.